Today on Ag Etc. First up, meet Jeanne Falk, agronomist with K-State Research and Extension from Colby, Kansas. Learn what they're doing at the K-State Experiment Station in midst of COVID-19. Then the Kansas 4-H Youth Leadership Council has reconfigured the traditional Rock Springs 4-H camp into a 4-H Campference to be a shorter virtual experience. Then Lucas Haag, Northwest Area Agronomist for K-State Research and Extension, brings you an update on new spring wheat variety trials. Next, Scott Laudert, Beef Industry Consultant, and Glen Dolezal, Vice President of Cargill Protein, speak on reimagining liver health in beef cattle. Finally, meet this week's Young Leader in Ag, Sarah Schlickoff, junior studying at K-State. It's all coming up on Ag Etc. Stay tuned.
These days, no one can afford to take the risk of being without financial protection against high healthcare costs, not even for a few days. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans offer short-term healthcare coverage to fill in those temporary gaps. Short-term health plans can provide you with medical coverage when you are between health plans, helping lower your potential financial risk. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau financial services agent near you.
What if we dreamed bigger? What if we looked beyond ourselves to the world outside? With the world population over 7 billion, who will lead us into a sustainable future? Kansas State University's Agronomy Department is working to build that brighter future for us all. As a career in high demand, we're working to understand, manage, and protect Earth's vital resources. We help farmers manage and grow their harvest by studying the science behind plants, soils, and the environment, providing a higher standard of living for all, while being good stewards of our natural resources. We work to make the future greener. We work to make the future brighter. Explore a rewarding career and join us in helping feed the world. Discover the possibilities with Kansas State University Agronomy.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. Next up, we hear from Jeanne Falk, Northwest Area Agronomist with K-State Research and Extension, about what's happening at the K-State Experiment Station in Colby, Kansas.
Hey guys, I'm Jeanne Falk Jones. I'm one of the agronomists with K-State Research and Extension, and I'm here on the K-State Experiment Station in Colby today, where my main office is. We're standing here in front of some plots for the Wheat Diagnostic School. Well, typically we have this school about once every 3 years here in Colby, and this year we didn't get to have this event because of everything with COVID. But what we're seeing behind us here is several different planting dates. We had different growth stages, so we can actually go through and teach farmers and agronomists how to grow stage wheat. Well, because we haven't had the chance to have some of our regular events, what we're really doing is kind of pinch hitting and kind of piecing in with some other events that we're actually having solely related to wheat production. And so you might have noticed we had the virtual wheat tour in conjunction with Kansas Wheat. That was the effort of what we would typically have of the wheat quality tour. And so I worked with several extension agents and several other K-State folks, along with industry folks and farmers, who went out and actually just did some yield estimates and really just looked to see what was going on in some of their fields and sending those reports in. And so we had that event, and then we've also had some demonstration plots, which you guys are probably used to seeing in your counties, and you go to county wheat plot tour. And this year we also got to do those virtual. And so we've had some events where we had several different K-State speakers come in and talk about the different varieties that we're seeing in the plots, some strengths and weaknesses. And so while we've done all of this virtually and really handing this to farmers to spend time watching, I encourage you to stop by your county wheat demonstration plots, go out and walk in them. Many of them have plot signs on them. They may have a mailbox out in front that has the wheat plot plan and some information on their varieties. And so stop by and look at those. Maybe our spring didn't quite unfold as we were planning on. We still have lots and lots of wheat information for you guys, and lots of publications and things to help you guys select your new wheat variety. So I encourage you to check those out. And if you have any questions, just give any of us a call. So as I've been out kind of running around and looking at wheat fields, we have the full gamut on wheat conditions out here in the field. And so when I was actually doing some yield estimates across the area, I was estimating fields anywhere from 11 bushel was my low, clear up to the upper 60s. And so we have just a wide variety of wheat across western Kansas. If you get down into southwest Kansas, it's thinner, shorter, very much a drought stress situation. And then as you're kind of up here in northwest Kansas, we're seeing a lot of thinning of wheat stands from those cold events in April. And so while we had pretty good wheat stands to start with, we had those cold events right after Easter there, and so we thinned down some of those wheat stands. And so while some of this has came back and kind of filled in, some of it is still a little bit on the thinner side, we do have some information from K-State that talks about harvesting shorter and thinner wheat stands, which is going to be some information that we're probably going to need this year across western Kansas. And also, if you didn't get any herbicide on ahead of time, we need to be thinking and keeping an eye out, because we might have some of those summer annuals, specifically the kochia and the Palmer amaranth, that might be sticking their heads up through that wheat canopy. And so we also have some information on herbicides you can go out and put on right before harvest to kind of get those weeds sort of beat back so we can get through them with the combine. So that's some of our conditions out here in northwest Kansas. Our wheat here in the very northwest corner is really heading, well, hopefully it's all headed at this point, because we're getting 90-degree temperatures, flowering, we're starting the grain fill period, so really critical time for drought stress and things along those lines, which when we have these 90-degree days, it's pretty warm out and can cause us some stress on some of that wheat. You go down to southwest Kansas, I've heard there might be a little bit of wheat that's already starting to turn just a little bit, but that really is drought stressed wheat down in that neighborhood. So kind of the full gamut as you go across western Kansas here on wheat conditions.
When we return, I'll talk with the 4-H Youth Leadership Council on a new approach to the iconic 4-H camp.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. I'm Britton Rucker. The Kansas 4-H Youth Leadership Council has reconfigured the traditional Rock Springs 4-H camp into a 4-H Campference to be a shorter virtual experience. This event will be held virtually via the Zoom platform. Joining me now speaking more on this is Anna Muir, Youth Council Advisor of Phillips Rooks District, and Lexie Straub, Youth Council President. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Anna, for people who are unfamiliar entirely with 4-H, explain a little bit about the goal with your organization.
Well, 4-H is an organization that works with youth
7 to 18, and we work on building those life skills that are going to help them all throughout their life. Part of our 4-H pledge is to pledge our head to clear thinking, our heart to greater loyalty, our hands to larger service, and our health to better living. So that kind of encompasses where we would like our organization to go, and we really want our youth to be involved in their local communities and making it a great place to live.
Absolutely. And Anna, can you go into and explain a little bit about how this Campference is going to work?
Well, Campference is a little bit different this year. We will be utilizing our Zoom platform and doing that kind of by virtual means with the COVID-19 situation that hit. We couldn't get together face-to-face this year, but we did not want to miss the opportunity to connect with our youth that are going to be participating ages 12 to 14. This is kind of a key time to help those youth kind of build their leadership skills, and this is when they're really starting to get into the meat of their 4-H careers and starting to really blossom into those great 4-Hers that we know that they can be.
Lexie, when will this camp be taking place and who can partake in it?
So Campference is going to take place virtually this year on June 23rd and 24th, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday. We're going to kind of split up the sessions throughout the day so that we don't have our participants or delegates sitting at their computer or tablet all day for excessive amounts of time. So on Tuesday, our sessions are going to last from 1:30 to 3 o'clock, and then they'll have a break until 5 o'clock, and then they'll be from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning till noon, and then 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And this is open to kids age 12 to 14. The reason we have Campference is to kind of have the event for those kids that are too old to be a camper, but still kind of too young to be a counselor. And so it's an extra opportunity for that certain age range. You don't have to be in 4-H to attend. Anyone can attend, but you do have to pay the $20 registration fee because we will be sending a camp care package that will contain some goodies and stuff that we'll be using throughout the event, throughout the virtual event.
Absolutely. And Lexie, do you have an itinerary of kind of those 2 days?
Well, within the 2 days, we're going to be doing kind of a variety of things. We want to be able to offer kind of the same amount of different things that we would be doing if we were at Campference in person at Rock Springs. So we're going to be doing a civic discourse experience. I've done it a couple times now, and it's really engaging for those younger voices to kind of be able to have those conversations and stuff with other kids for now in Campference, but then hopefully they can go and take those to their own communities because I know for kids this age, it can be common for them to think that their voice isn't really heard when it comes to topics and discussions like that. And so we think this is a really important thing that they should learn and have some experience doing. We're also going to do some kind of crafty stuff. We're going to try to keep the big Campference spirit by doing camp songs. We're even going to have a dance where we're going to get to teach them some line dances and such. And I don't want to spoil too much, but that's kind of a quick summary, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, Anna, I saw on your social media platform, you guys have already been interacting with people and trying to bring the 4-H experience to them in their home with teaching them the traditional and iconic 4-H camp songs.
Yes, there is that challenge that's going on our social media platform, and it's just kind of a great way to keep the camp spirit alive for the summer. A lot of us really enjoy this time. I know for me personally, even with just camp, getting to know my younger kids and those types of things, and being able to give them the experience of learning those new songs and to come home and sing that with or for their parents, I guess I should say, or to see them out and about in the community and those types of things, and somebody maybe break out into song when we're in our local communities is a pretty awesome experience. So it is kind of fun that, any age can participate in that, and people are being tagged in it. And so then just sharing your favorite camp songs and, just having fun with it.
Well, Lexie and Anna, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Britton Rucker, and this has been Ag AM in Kansas.
Shhh Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Shhh Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is shhcropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@shhcropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. We're returning with Lucas Haag, Northwest Area Agronomist for K-State Research and Extension, about new spring wheat variety trials they are running in Colby, Kansas.
So my name's Lucas Haag. I'm the Northwest Area Agronomist for K-State Research and Extension based out of Colby. And what I have behind me here today is some work. This is our second year doing spring wheat variety trials in Northwest Kansas. So in my applied research program, I try and be responsive to the things producers are telling me we need information on. And there's been a lot of interest in Northwest and North Central Kansas the last couple of years looking at spring wheat really as an alternative to fallow. So after corn or sorghum, instead of summer fallowing all the way back to winter wheat, the idea would then to be no-till spring wheat into those stalks the very next spring and try and improve the economics and productivity of our systems. This isn't the first time we've looked at spring wheat here at Colby. Actually, it's been looked at a number of times dating back to the 19-teens and 20s through, again, in the 50s, the 70s, and the early 2000s. And pretty consistently, we'd found that spring wheat makes about half the yield of winter wheat. And so, but with new varieties, improvements in heat tolerance, we wanted to take a fresh look at that with modern varieties to see if what that comparison looks like today. So we're running both a seeding rate study with seeding rates from 900,000 on up to 2 million seeds per acre. And then we also have a 16 entry variety trial with entries from 4 different commercial companies. So it's a really neat opportunity to both look at some management as well as yield potential. And then additionally, we'll be submitting samples out of these varieties for full mill and bake scores, because that's, the quality on spring wheat is maybe a little more critical than what we're used to in winter wheat. And that really is the big question, is not just the yield piece, but also can we get the quality we need to get into that spring wheat market. And that's going to be a really important thing for us to figure out in our environments. So this will be the second year of variety trials, so we'll be able to get some results out after wheat harvest with more of a better look at what varieties are maybe performing better in our environment. And then of course the mill and bake data and the seeding rate data will be interesting as well. We currently have those samples in process. We had a company graciously donate their lab services on that, so they've kind of been running them as time allows, so we don't have the full results back, but we're hoping here after harvest we'll have both last year and this year's mill and bakes, and really we need at least 2 years of data before we'd want to put anything out there. So we should have a nice first look at stuff here later this summer. So we try and put all the results from all the trials I'm doing can be found at my website, which is www.northwest.ksu.edu/agronomy. So just one of the many projects we got going at the Northwest Research Extension Center here at Colby.
When we return, we'll talk with industry experts on reimagining liver health in beef cattle here on Ag AM in Kansas.
No one plans to get sick or injured, but when life happens, it's important you and your family are protected. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans are there to provide continued health care coverage to meet your needs. Choose from a broad range of individual and family plans. And if you're over 65, we have options for you too. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. Next, we hear from industry experts leading the discussion on reimagining liver health in beef cattle.
It's a silent challenge, yet costly to the beef cattle business. Liver abscess disease.
So one of the recent estimates would be about 60 million annually that liver abscesses could cost the beef packing industry. Then there are also performance effects that have a direct effect on the profitability of the cattle to the feed yard or the cattle owner. Usually we'll see in severe abscess situations, those cattle would have about a 5% decrease in feed intake, about a 10% reduction in average daily gain or performance. Carcass weight is also reduced by about 10%. And so those, the feed intake and the carcass weight or live weight would be a direct loss to the feed yard.
That's only on cattle deemed severe. About 2/3 of liver abscesses fall into the mild category and don't cause economic loss. Today, antibiotics are the best tool for control, but Laudert says some best practices could be adopted to reduce overall use and improve outcomes.
My belief is that a producer needs to start his control measures very early in the feeding period for beef type steers and heifers. So once we start cattle on feed and they start going up on ration, if there's any kind of inconsistent intake, they get too much grain and they get a buildup of lactic acid in the rumen, then the bacteria can really proliferate and that sets the animal up for the disease condition to go ahead and develop. So early and mid would be the critical times.
Good bunk management is key. Beginning treatment earlier and ending it sooner shows promise.
A lot of producers have pulled Tylosin out of the ration the last 30 days prior to harvest and have not seen a significant increase in liver abscesses. This is one step forward. We need more like that. Does roughage help? Are there vaccines that are going to be developed by pharma companies that can address liver condemnations independently of medically important antibiotics? That would all be positive.
While cattlemen aim to balance care with concern for judicious antibiotic use, the feeding community is seeking new solutions.
We're encouraged that producers and suppliers are experimenting and coming up with best practices to replace the need for using medically important antibiotics subtherapeutically. And so we think that it's the right thing to do.
Cattle that have liver abscess disease don't show clinical signs, and one study suggests they don't even know it themselves.
There is some recent research out of Colorado State University looking at cortisol levels and temperature and mobility score as the cattle come out of a squeeze chute. There's no difference between the animals in those three parameters, the animals that had liver abscesses and those that didn't. So the authors of the study concluded that liver abscesses don't cause discomfort, are likely not a welfare or well-being issue with feedlot cattle.
Multifaceted and under the radar, the problem is tricky and costly, but most certainly worth the effort to solve. I'm Bob Cervera.
When we come back, we'll meet this week's Young Leader in Ag, Sarah Schlickoff.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
This segment brought to you by Farm Credit Associations of Kansas, lending support to rural America, and by American Ag Service, your DuPont Pioneer dealer.
I'm Britton Rucker, and this is Ag AM in Kansas. Welcome back to our Young Leaders in Ag segment. With me now, I have Sarah Schlickoff, and you are a junior at K-State. Sarah, give us a little bit about your background in ag.
So I grew up on a farm and ranch just outside of Pretty Prairie. I went to Hutchinson Community College and then transferred up here to K-State after getting my Associates of Science.
So really, what made you go to K-State?
I chose to go to K-State because it's the only place in the nation that actually has my major. I'm majoring in bakery science and then global food systems leadership. And so K-State was really the only path, but definitely the path for me.
So really, what led you to bakery science?
I was really involved in 4-H, and I got involved in this program called the Kansas Wheat Expo. And what that does is it takes you different places throughout the state, gives you tours, and on one of those tours I was introduced to the idea of product development, which is what led me to bakery science.
So during your time in the industry, have you had any internships?
I haven't had any internships thus far, but I have one lined up for this summer. I'll be working in Indiana at a company called Aunt Millie's, doing research and development. They're a company that does mostly breads, rolls, yeast products.
And really, how did you figure out that internship, or how did that internship come to you?
Something very unique about the grain science part of K-State is that bakery science has 100% job placement. So companies really come to us and you have to leave campus for an interview. So I interviewed with several companies and ended up deciding to go with them.
Sarah, kind of where do you see yourself in the ag industry at the end of the day?
I thought last year I would have a definite answer for that. I believe that I want to do product development, but I've started to get into the global food systems secondary major that K-State offers, and I've really become passionate about global development. And if you look at countries like Africa and how we can help their economies for them to flourish and kind of end poverty and promote food security.
A big thank you to Sarah Schlickoff for being on Young Leaders in Ag. I'm Britton Rucker, and this is Ag AM in Kansas. Thanks for watching Ag Etc. As always, I'm Britton Rucker, and I'll see you next week here on Ag AM in Kansas.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.